Hi, Shama. Who is my first viewer? Hi, Dina. How's everyone doing? Say hi in the comments. I try to say hi back if I see it. I hope everyone's doing okay, and I hope your families are doing safe and keeping well. I'm fine. How are you? Let's just wait for Sharon to join. So, thanks, Anna. So today's topic is about self-care, but we're also going to be talking about mental health. It's a very vast topic. Um, and I just want to let you guys know that if you guys want to watch this with someone like you're comfortable with, because it might be a trigger, or just don't watch it if you're not comfortable at all. Just waiting for Sharon to join. See where he is.
Apologies, apologies.
Hi.
I am late.
No, that's
How's it
okay.
going?
Good. I mean, hanging in
Very
there.
good.
How
Let
are
there
you
be light.
doing? How are you doing?
How are you?
Uh,
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
good.
slow day today. I didn't get a lot of work done, but yeah, as you can see, I have a fresh baby's bottom on my face.
That's great. I think you're one of the few guys who are probably fresh-faced, no? I think everyone's trying to grow their beards
Yeah.
and do something. And yeah. Women
To
are
be
growing
honest,
their
it wasn't my
mustaches.
intention.
Sorry?
My trimmer like broke like halfway.
Oh,
So then I just had a blade. So I was just like, you know what? No
you're
one's
just
gonna
going
see
all
me
out.
that much. Like
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose, so it's fine.
Yeah. So,
How are you though? How's your day been?
it's been okay. It was supposed to be a productive day, but it didn't end up being a very productive day because my classes and all got cancelled. But
Okay.
anyway, I'm just happy to have a privileged life, sitting in a comfortable home with food on the table. So I think that's what we need to keep in mind during these troubling times. So
What
yeah,
do you study?
I work, but I'm also doing my second undergraduate. I'm studying law right now. So yeah, that's
Second
keeping.
undergrad. Okay, we have an
Yeah.
overachiever.
No, it's not an overachiever. It's just something I've been wanting to do and I've like trying to get it done.
Amazing.
So
No, that's really cool. That's really
yeah.
cool. That's awesome.
Okay, anyway, so I think we got a couple of people who joined in. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first and then I can introduce myself for people who are watching your side maybe.
Sure. Yeah, so everyone asked me to introduce myself, and I don't know actually how to go about
No,
it,
just
but
be super brief,
I
whatever you're comfortable with.
but yeah, hi guys, I'm Sharon. I'm studying in Melbourne, but I've been only in Melbourne for close to 2 years now. I've been in Sri Lanka all of my life. I'm studying marketing, my passion is not in a corporate job. My passion is to bring about social change and working in social work as much as I possibly can. And I advocate for mental health a lot on social media platforms. In a nutshell, that is me, and I really like to speak.
That's great. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm really excited to have this
I
conversation with
and
you.
I want to say on live, I apologize for telling you last minute and canceling last week because we were supposed to do this last week, but I'm glad that you accommodated anyway.
But don't even worry. Like I told you, like I think social media is a very powerful tool, but we give it too much power than it needs to have. So it's just a live session, and everyone's joining in now, so that's what matters the most, right? Quickly about me, my name is Sanjana. I'm a social activist. I use my platform Sanjana Talks to bring awareness to topics that are very taboo, especially in Sri Lanka, which we know there's a lot of topics to talk about. Just like you, I try to bring about any social change that I can and just advocate for mostly women and gender rights. But I also like to talk for anything that is socially related, like mental health. Quick question before we get started. So, do you go as Sharon or Sharon? I'm just a little confused there.
First one.
The first, is that how you've always been addressing yourself, or
It's
did you?
how my mom calls me, so I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Okay. Because, yeah, that's okay, fine.
But the thing is, people mess it up all the time. But yeah, it's Sharon. My surname is much harder to pronounce.
How would you say that? Just for anyone who wants to know.
It's Vela Yuden.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Tamil, so I can probably say that, and I don't know if everyone can. But anyways, let's move on to the topic. What I want to talk about, I know I mentioned it as self-care, but then I want the focus to mostly be on mental health, and mental health and mental well-being. It's a very, very broad topic, and I know that there's a lot to cover, but let's just try to cover as much as we can. In my opinion, I think mental health is one of the things that everyone universally can relate to. We may not be able to identify it, or maybe we may not maybe acknowledge it, but it's something that all of us face on an everyday basis in some way. Before we go ahead, I also do want to let people who are watching know that this topic is it's hard, and there might be some things that trigger you along the way. At the end of the session, I will be sharing the local resource that you can reach out to. We've got some great tools in Sri Lanka. We have the CCC line, which is a toll-free line you can call. I've met these counselors, some of them personally, and they're really great. So feel free to use the resources we have in Sri Lanka. We have a few, and they're really good. So we should try to use them as much as we can. So moving on to mental health again. So something I always tell people is, something I like to tell people is that when you meet someone, you never know the kind of dragons the demons they're fighting on the inside. So try to understand them and be kind to them. I know that's something that you also always tell people, be kind. So tell me more about why being kind means a lot to you, and how you became an advocate for mental health.
Sure. When it comes to, I'll tackle the kindness part first. And when it comes to kindness, it was always a part of my life. I try to practice it in all aspects of my life, but there are times that I also fall short, because it's difficult to always be kind to others around you when you're not 100%. In those moments, I tend to just shut off and be to myself. But I learned a lot of it from my mom. I have a single mom. She's gone through domestic abuse. She's gone through the glass ceiling effect. She's worked multiple jobs. She's gone through the mill, but through it all, she's been like a positive force in my life. And for me, I learned about kindness through like little acts that she used to do. So, for example, we had a maid that would help us, or help at home, that would take care of me and take care of my grandmother, give her medicine, give me my meals. And what we would do is, when it's Tamil Singular New Year, or when it's Vesak or something like that, when they invite us over to their place for lunch, there were instances where they would hire chairs because they wouldn't have chairs at home. And my mom would be like, "No, we don't need chairs. We can sit on the ground and we can eat with you guys." My mom would go out of her way to buy like shirts for the security guards at school. Or we would, like, if you had a traffic light and she sees the police sweating, she would give the bottle of water that she has to him to drink while we wait for him to let us go. So it's like little things like that. But like the thing is, what I've learned from her is kindness isn't giving things. Kindness can also be little acts of like checking on people. Like when my mom identified Facebook, which has been the bane of my doing since I introduced her to Facebook. But when I did, she started like reaching out to people, checking on them, reaching out to all of her old friends. She started like organizing meetups and just to keep people in touch. And she's been doing incredible things for her past old school, and even though she doesn't have to. So like things like that, using technology for good, like I saw that in her first, before like I ever was doing anything on social media, besides like posting pictures of my dog and the food I eat. So a lot of it is from my mom, but like she didn't teach me, like she didn't actively teach me. It was just like me watching as a kid and seeing what she did. That really like inspired me to like act a certain way. It's like where you're exposed to a certain background for a certain amount of time that you tend to take those tendencies forward with you. And that's been me. I've seen how the ripple effect can occur. I've seen how people feel after you're like nice to someone, and I've felt it as well, like when someone's nice to me. And that's how it's been for the rest of my life. That's what kindness means to me. When it comes to mental health, I think, not I think, basically, it has always been a part of us. Like you said, we don't distinguish it or we don't define it, you
Yeah.
know, but it's part of all of us. We just don't like to define it as mental health because it's more of a taboo word. But I would say it's always been a part of my life. Like I was bullied as a kid in two different schools. I actually left the school because I was being bullied by a kid and a teacher. And then the school I moved to was still good. Like I met some of my bestest friends to this day, but like I was still bullied there as well. And then I was not treated well by certain women, which like really scarred my outlook of relationships and all of those things. And then on top of that, my family was very judgmental because my dad was an alcoholic and he was abusive as well. And basically, they really put it into perspective that sins of the father is the sins of the son. So like they would never make eye contact with me at like family meets, and I would hate going for those because I would never feel acknowledged and stuff like that. So all of these things were just like chips on my shoulder. It just kept adding. But then I never saw anyone dealing with the issues. Like my mom didn't really deal with the issues. She just like spearheaded forward, and I thought spearheading forward was the way to go as well. And the thing is, with technology and with social media and with everything going on around the world, we tend to get reminded of comparing your life to other people's lives. You start seeing how people are treated and how they're living their lives, and that adds like more layers of insecurity. And then, yeah, one day I couldn't take it anymore, and I was just like, I just want to take my life. This is um, nothing's working out. I always fight with my mom. My job's not working out. Relationships not working out. I was losing friends at the time because my lifestyle was changing, and I was just like, this is it. I had the whole thing planned out. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to do it. And I just want to end it. I didn't see the good in things. And when you're in that moment, you don't see the good in things. It's not that you're weak. It's just that you just think that everyone's going to be happy without you in that moment. And then luckily for me, one of my friends, my best friend, still to this day, found out and came and stayed the night with me, and he just stayed there. You know, he didn't leave my side. He didn't even sleep. He just like stayed up because he was scared for his life as to what I would do. And then the thing is, when I came to Australia a year and 9 months ago, at this point, I think I was thrown into a new culture. These topics weren't taboo anymore. I started learning what depression meant, what anxiety meant, what panic attacks meant, and I was just like, holy shit, this is what I feel. And I was just like learning more about it. And after I went through a really bad breakup, it was pretty bad on my end, and obviously both ends, but I did not know how to process it. So I used to talk to my best friends every day, and I was just like, "Hey guys, like same thing over and over again." Like in those moments, you just want to be heard, you know. Like when someone's going through something, you just want to be heard, you know. Um, and I was just calling them like almost every night and talking about the same thing over and over again. And they were just like, "Sharon, we can always be there for you. We will always be there for you." But it comes to a point where you need professional help because the thing what I was doing was I was talking about it, but I wasn't taking action on getting better. I was just going on this vicious cycle of never ending, like just thinking, why did you do that to me? Why is this happening to me of all people? And just victimizing myself and just sulking. And I wasn't doing any progress. And I was just like, yeah, this is it. Like, I need to get professional help. And my university gives free therapy. So I went through my university and started seeing someone. And that was like almost a year and 5 months ago. And yeah, my life has changed since. Obviously, I still have dark days. Last week was one of those weeks where I was in a corner and I didn't see the light in things, and yeah, I would started getting those thoughts again. But what affected me the most was I felt like all of this progress was just thrown out of the window last week, and I felt pretty defeated more than anything else. Um, so yeah, so after that, I spoke to my therapist again this Wednesday, and just like we've named what I'm going through as Ego Sharon, just the guy who doesn't want me to progress in life right now. And right now, yeah, so we know it's a relapse. What happened to me. So right now I'm not diagnosed with any medication or anything, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Tiny steps, but mental health is a battle that I'll always have for the rest of my life. I know that I'll be happier than I am today someday. I know that these things won't happen recurringly. I know I'll progress a lot in the future, but I know it'll always be a battle. And accepting that and knowing that you need to be stronger is one of the most important things. So yeah, long-ended answer, but I wanted to give context.
Wow, that was very heavy. Thank you so much for. I know it wouldn't have probably been hard for you, but thank you for sharing your story on my platform. It means a lot, and I'm sure it's going to help a lot of viewers because the point of even this session is to get people to start talking more about mental health and their mental well-being, and letting them know that it's okay to kind of tell someone that you're not feeling okay, that you're not feeling your usual self, and that's so. Thank you so much for doing this. I also want to say that
Absolutely.
one of the things I actually like about your page and the things you talk about is that you bring up your mom a lot. And I love that because we don't always see a lot of men talking about a strong female, like, role in their lives. And I think, mothers, they play such a significant role in each of our lives. More than, like, I don't think any other person. I'm not excluding my father, he's great, but, not excluding any of them, but they play a really big role, and I love that you do that, because, and I hope that more men actually do acknowledge that there are great women in their lives and actually follow through with that instead of doing
I
unnecessary
think,
things.
I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me, I always remember that quote saying, behind every great man, there's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And for me, that's my mom. But I don't want to sugarcoat it. Like, I fight with her like a lot. Like,
Yeah.
our fights are like dog fights, Like, I don't want people to see like we're always good all the time, and oh my god, I want that relationship with my mom. Like, I didn't tell her that I was going for therapy right away. Like, we had used to fight when I had my first girlfriend, and she got super like territorial. I'm losing my son, kind of thing. Like, those things also happen behind the scenes, but it's just that I always know I'll take care of her, and she is always going to take care of me. And it's about acknowledging that over the pettiness. And like for me, like even last week, I got on a phone call with her. I don't normally call her. I like maybe call her like once in like 4 months, to be very honest. And I called her last week, and I just had I didn't even talk. I just wanted to hear her voice. Like that gave me strength to like just listen, because I was just like, I was in a moment of weakness. I was just like, I want to go back home, you know, I want to come back home. But I know for a fact that I won't do it. But in a moment, she's the person I can talk to and open up that weakness, and that vulnerability that I can't do to normally. Because on this platform, yes, I show vulnerability, but I can't show complete weakness because I want to show people strength more than anything else. I want to show people that I am weak at times, but that extreme weakness is something I can only go and show my mom, or my two best friends. So yeah, I think it's always important to acknowledge, even if you have a single dad, like behind every great person, there's a great dad as well, So it's just like, just acknowledge that that you have good people around you.
Yeah. I think you brought up a really good point, is that we need to always know that we have a good support system. It can be anyone. It can be your mother, it can be your partner, it can be your best friend. Sometimes for me, it was even my dog, just having someone to sit there and cry and it's honestly
Absolutely.
you just need someone to know that, that they're with you. I've actually been in a situation where I had to look out for someone who was on a suicide watch, and it was the hardest thing ever, because you don't really mean it, but at that point you're also like putting yourself on the clock. Oh my god, if something happens, you're responsible. And I know that's really hard, but the most important thing that I did at that point was just being there for that person. And like you said, yeah, when I did my undergraduate in the US, so that's why when I was exposed to the terms of like mental health, depression, anxiety, things that I've never heard in my life before at all. Because in Sri Lanka, we don't talk about that. I have an uncle who once said that these are just white people problems, and it doesn't happen to our brown kids. And as much as I love him, like I tried to explain to him, and he's like, "No, that's fine. I know our kids won't have it." Like, the people are in denial about it. They know that you can have your good days and your bad days. There are emotions that do overflow, because we very well know that the adults overflow the emotions all the time. The anger that comes out, the sadness, the happiness, all of that. But sometimes it just gets very overwhelming. And that's when we need to address
Absolutely.
that there is something more than what your usual self is feeling. And we just need a support system to talk to and lean
Absolutely.
back and fall back on.
And like, I want to stress that support system, it's so important to acknowledge that it may not be your closest friends, and it may not be your family. it can be even strangers, like it can be your therapist or your counselor or a new friend that you've made through a support group, Like for me, like I don't trust anyone with my mental health except for my counselor or my therapist. I don't trust absolutely anyone. And that's on purpose. Even if I'm in a relationship, even if it's my mom, I'm not at that position that I trust anyone with that information or I trust anyone to give me the advice that I need. So it's very important to acknowledge that sometimes it's not the people you trusted with all these issues outside of depression, anxiety, mental health. It could be a newfound source of information. Like you said, like when you were on suicide watch, when you were checking up on that person, whenever I get a message from someone saying I want to take my life, which is quite often, that's a weight that you have to carry. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's just about understanding how you can separate that. It's just that you need to help to a certain extent that you can, but I need to remind myself that I'm not a professional and I need to give them the right resources to go and seek out help if I can't be there for them in the way that I can. And like like you said, these are terms that are not spoken about in Sri Lanka openly. It's changing now. Like people are because of people like that, which is awesome. And even organizations like Ohana Project and Bakumunu and all those places, they're like doing good things to like change it. But like the thing is, more than anything, there's still quite a toxic environment, even within the mental health space, but also within the country. So there's still a lot of legwork to be done. It's just finding that person that you trust so that they make you feel like your thoughts are valid as well. Because as soon as someone tells you that, oh my God, these things pass, it's okay, like, these things, you're just putting too much weight to it, just like have a good meal, go to sleep, wake up. How much does that help? You have to look at talking to someone who doesn't mollycoddle you. They'll be there for you. They'll hold you when you need help. But it's also people who remind you that you're the one who needs to take action. Like your life is in your hands. Don't give anyone else that power.
I think that's really important that you brought that up, and it's really great. And even I want to say that Sri Lanka is in a very toxic place. I don't know if you remember when growing up that everyone used to make jokes about Angoda, the mental hospital.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so
I used to do it. I'm not going to be like Mother Mary.
Jumped on that train and were like, get on that bus, I will send you to Angoda and that sort of thing. But like now you just know that there are actual counselors and therapists, and those are very taboo words, counselors and therapists. And I don't feel like people want to acknowledge that though there are people who can actually help you. It's like a very taboo thing to go to a therapist, right? But there have been organizations like Sumitra who's been addressing things like this since the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken. And we have so many other, like I will share the helplines and the resources after this, but we have so many great, it's like Shanti Margam's also there, people who actually dedicate their life to helping people out of situations like this. So we need to make use of, Sri Lanka has come a long way. We have to acknowledge that as well. Like, yes, it is toxic, but we have come a long way and there is a lot more to go. That's that. Something I also want to touch upon with you was men's mental health, something that's very specific. You know that as a man and a woman, there are like certain kind of, you would have checked the boxes, right? So women are expected to be more like sentimental, more emotional. So it's okay for a woman to cry out. It's okay for a woman to say, I'm feeling a little depressed today. I can always, if I'm having a bad day, I can always like get on my girlfriend's chat and be like, hey guys, I'm feeling really low. And I'll just hop on a video call with them. And that's great because I had that support system. But for men, I've noticed that it's not the same. But I want to acknowledge that something I've noticed is that for men in groups specifically, they don't acknowledge it. They don't talk about things like that. But I think one-on-one, it's easier for someone, a man and man to talk to each other. But in groups, it doesn't happen. So, like in your opinion, from a male perspective, how do you address men's mental health, and how would you encourage them to like start talking about it more?
I think it boils down to toxic masculinity. It boils down to being a part of a club, being a part of a clique. You just want to fit in and just survive through university or high school or junior school. For me, like my best example is when I got my mom on the live show, when I used to do the live shows. I was trying so hard to hold my tears because I wanted, not because I'm ashamed of crying. I cry like whenever I want to, whenever I feel like it, I let it out. But the reason I was holding myself together was just I wanted to compose myself so I could keep asking questions.
Yeah.
But no, but like a comment that she made in that video that should be in everyone's minds. She was just like, Sharon, if you want to cry, let's cry. Let's both cry. And like that's the environment I've grown up in. You know, crying was okay. You know, like I remember I used to bawl out crying because I got ghosted one day because a girl didn't show up to like a date when I was
And
like a
that's
small
fine. And
kid.
that's completely fine.
Yeah, and it's fine. You know, it's just like it's just we're used to growing up in this society where what's it like to be a man?
Yeah.
Like, don't be a little girl. Don't act like a
Don't be a
girl. You're
pussy.
crying. Don't be a pussy. Yeah, all of these things, right? Like, I used to say it. But
Yeah.
the thing is, at the same time, like, I've come a long way in terms of, like, self-learning and self-growth where I know that it's not okay, you know? And, like, being bullied and all of those things, it was just making them feel better about themselves, you know, and just making them feel like the cool kids. And trust me, I was never a part of the cool kids, and I had the best time in school because I surrounded myself with friends who some I have, some I don't. You grow out of things, but like I had good friends at the time. You know, I would basically say when it comes to men's mental health, it's okay not to be okay. You know, the only thing that is different from a man and a woman is our genitals, and like the fact that you guys have periods every month. You know, and you guys can give birth, right? But emotions is something we both experience.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to cry, cry, man. Like, dude, if you want to cry, brother, you give me a video call on Instagram, we both cry. You know, like I always say that when it comes to mental health, it happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, child, old man, old woman. It's not segmented by age, by sexual orientation, by race, by religion. None of that stuff. You know, it affects all of us. There's animals that are depressed, that are clinically depressed, that they diagnose them with, and like it's just the biggest thing is stigma and taboo, and they're scared that they'll not be a part of a circle. Trust me, man. I'm telling you now. If that circle doesn't acknowledge you for who you are, don't change. Please don't change. If I had to give one message to a boy or a man or an old man, doesn't matter, an uncle, doesn't matter, don't try to fit into a crew that doesn't acknowledge your emotions. Never do that. To this day, like I still have calls with my best friends where I get very emotional, you know, and all I want to do is hug them, and we're all boys, you know. So it's just like it's okay to have like the boys to have the shit talk and all of those things. I still do that with them, you know. But
What do
the
you
thing
mean
is when
shit
it comes
talk?
to
Shit talk is I'm very against those
okay,
things.
when it means shit talk, just like insulting each other and
Oh,
just
okay, got
talking
it.
about things and just like, you know, like that kind of stuff. Which I love to do. I love having fun like that. But at the same time, I need to have that emotional chat as well about life, about like what you're feeling. You know, the biggest thing that happens is men, especially, repress everything that we're feeling, and then after that, it just implodes. And especially when you see everything going on right now, you see your friends succeeding, you see them make more money, and all of these things that are very important to you, and then it just affects you in the long run, and then you just like, you know, don't let it come to that. Never ever let it come to that. Like your feelings are valid, and if you ever want to chat about it, and like I said before, if you ever are going through mental health issues, or even if it's not mental health, if you're just sad, right, about a particular topic, message me, message another man that you think that you can talk about these things. You know, like don't be afraid to let your emotions show. I think emotions is the sexiest thing ever. Like being an emotional person, like very honestly, like if a man shows emotion, I'm just like, dude, you're the strongest fucker I've ever met. You know, like I'll give him a hug and be like, yeah, man, this is it. Like, be you. Don't hold back.
That's great. It's amazing that I mean, I hope that everyone watching this actually takes those messages across because we very much need it. The past couple of weeks, I've been sharing a bunch of stories about something called a boys' locker room, which also engages in like a lot of toxic masculinity. And the talk is that, and I had a couple of young men message me. I say young men as if I'm really old. I'm not old. I just need to stress upon that as well. Boys message me
What is
and
old though? What
yeah.
is old? You know?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Let's just not get into that. I might cry now. But anyway, boys, where they messaged me and said that, they've gotten kicked off chats. And the only thing I tell them is that, don't give them the power of saying they're cool because they're not cool at all. and that's a word you use as well, and like completely they're not cool at all, because what is cool is you, like you said, completely acknowledging your emotions and just being you. That's the most important thing, right? And we should never ever change who we are, and that's what I think everyone from who's watching should learn and spread that message to everyone else, and tell everyone else, just be you and be true to yourself. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I think cool, sexy, or being a man, or like anything. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
You know, what is cool to you? If cool to you is being a bully and being the cool kid and going clubbing and smoking and drinking, fine, that's your thing. Do it. Just don't affect other people around you.
But no,
That's all I'm saying.
don't
You know?
bully. Please don't bully. That's not cool.
No, as in not bullying, sorry. But if you're clubbing and smoking and
Yeah.
drinking and stuff like that, if you want to do that, do it, you know? But like, when it comes to, but if cool to you means staying at home, having a good cry watching a movie, you know, eating in, not going out, that's cool too.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't join a club just because you think because they say it's cool.
Yeah.
You need to follow what you think is cool. You know, like for me, cool is like watching a good movie with good friends and cooking in and like making our own cocktail and just having a good time.
Yeah.
That's cool for me, you know, and like just talk. And like, I remember one of my most fondest memories that I've spoken to about Dinuka on his live chat was I always go to Dushant, one of my best friends' Christmas dinners every year. I don't know if I can go this year, but like every year I used to go in Sri Lanka. And I remember this was like 2015 or 14 December. And we left the party. We took 3 chairs for the 3 of us. So we call ourselves the Infinite Threesome. You can take it any way you want to. But we
No
took 3 chairs
there.
and no judgment. We took 3 chairs and we went up to the top of the road and we sat down and we didn't talk. And we were just like, we spoke about everything and nothing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was cool for us. You know, that was like the best time we've ever spent together. You know, so like find your tribe, you know, like find your people that acknowledges your feelings and what you like to do and who you are. You know, it's like it all comes down to perspective. So don't define cool as, or being cool is doing a specific set of things that set you apart. No, being cool is your perspective.
So that would kind of also tie into what self-care means to you, right? Like, if that's what you want to do, you should just do. So so I know you told me everything you do for like being cool. I think that also again talks about self-care, and self-care is something that's really important as well, and that all of us should acknowledge that we just need to give ourselves that time for ourselves and do whatever we want, whatever that makes us cool. So do you have any other things that you want to add before we start maybe looking at questions?
Yeah, so like when it comes to self-care, what I'm doing right now, right? I haven't worked out. I do a few push-ups here and there, but I haven't seriously worked out. And I love working out. So like for me, self-care now is just taking care of my mental health. So what that means is I'm really shy to sing on like lives and all that stuff. So I get on a call with my friend.
Can you sing a
and
song
I sing
for me,
her.
Please?
No, I'm not going to sing a song.
I'm joking. I would never do that to you.
But like she and I, Lozane, one of my closest friends, she and I get on a call. We're getting on a Zoom call after this to like sing a few songs. I sing songs with her like till like 12 o'clock in the night, and then I go to sleep. I cook some food, not cook new things because I hate cooking. I just cook some food, make sure that I have meals prepped. I play video games, you know, like I do things that just are enough to get me through this. You know, if you're like me, it's okay if you're not learning new things and if you're not being completely productive. For me, so that I get through the situation and so that I show self-care, is that less productivity is better than no productivity.
Yeah.
Again, we are all privileged to be in this situation. Not a lot of us can do this. A lot of us still have to work hard during this time. There are a lot of people who can't do the things that I do personally, and I completely acknowledge that. But if you're in a position just to do the bare minimum and get through this, it's okay.
Yeah.
You have nothing to prove to anyone but yourself, right?
And I think during
Just
this
get through
pandemic,
this.
during this pandemic,
No,
I
go
know
ahead.
there's a lot of people who've been saying like, use this time, be completely productive, do whatever you like, you know, you make that sets you apart and things like that. And I think that really gets to younger people like us, is that we always put this kind of pressure on ourselves to just be best, I'm trying to be Melania now, be the best. And, you know, always put so much pressure to kind of keep us moving. And like you said, it's just okay to not sometimes just like sit back and just enjoy a cup of wine and, watch some Netflix, talk to your friends, and, just do whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, but the thing is, like, no, we're both of us. I know that both of us are in the same wavelength, so I'm going to speak for both of us in this regard. I know
Please
we're
go
not
ahead.
saying like anything against people who are learning new things or being productive. Like, you do you.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk to the people who are like me, because I try not to ever talk outside of my shoes, because who am I to talk about some stuff that I've never gone through? That's why I never openly talk about like sexual abuse, because I've never been sexually abused. The only time I bring it up is when I speak about domestic abuse with my mom,
Yeah.
because she has given me permission to talk about those things. So like I try to talk about like what I have gone through. So like I am someone who's just gonna get through this thing and get back to my normal life. Like something I want to do is, since I haven't like worked out all this time, and I've never spoken about this before except to one friend. So you get the goss, or
Yay.
the you spill the tea.
Spill the
But
tea.
like something I want to do is, instead of going back to gym, I want to start boxing. I want to start learning how to box and like really be like proficient in that. So like that's something I want to do, and it's something I can't do now, and I'm super excited. Like I'm losing so much weight now, and like my body has become this blob of like flesh, just like
And that's fine. That's
existing.
completely fine.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like completely fine with that. But like, yeah, that's something I want to do. So always look forward to doing new things after this is over. Where are you going to travel? What food are you going to eat? Like,
Yeah.
there's always going to be good things around the corner. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Again.
For me, working out is a big part of my self care, which I started indulging in last year. I spend a significant amount of money on just focusing on myself for working out. And every, I think, 2-3 months, my trainer makes me do boxing, and I think that is my most favorite workout because
Nice.
I just go walk into the studio and I just like take out all my like you can say the hidden anger which I don't really show out. It just comes out, and then at some point they're just like, "Can you calm down?" We sort of because they don't have all the equipment, they just do it with their hands. Sometimes they have those pads,
That's awesome.
and I'm just like taking it out and like, "You just almost whacked my face," but that's fine because I need that. That's something I love and I love
Yeah, of course.
indulging in, and like working out is such a great way to also take a lot of negativity out of your body. For me personally, that's speaking. So whatever works for everyone,
Absolutely.
it's different, and I think
Can I
agree on
just
that.
add something to that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, something that I just want to say that like even though like for example now this was a really good point that one of my followers, or not followers, I don't, I hate calling people followers. One of my friends on Instagram
Instagram.
messaged me and was just like I'm like I acknowledged something to do with like my personal life, and he was just like, dude, I'm so happy you're talking about these things, because they expect you to put on this face on Instagram, and like, but the thing is, I like having fun too. Like,
Yeah.
that's not clubbing for me, but like, my version of fun is like, just like hanging out with friends and like going on dates, and like I date people, like
Yeah.
like I'm not a saint. And like the other thing that I want to bring up is like, but also like I have dark voices in my head. Like that's why I want to do boxing, because I feel like you can relieve a lot of anger issues that I have. And like I want to do different things that like make this dark side of me. Like that's how like if you think about Star Wars, there's always a dark side inside you. Like acknowledge it, acknowledge it. Like I hate when people paint me as this picture of this perfect guy. Like, oh my god, he's good, he's all but good. No, I have shitty sides as well. Everybody
Everyone
has
does.
shitty sides.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge it. So like just like you said, that's why I want to bring it up. Like you have anger issues that you put out through boxing, which is awesome. I'm glad you're acknowledging like that you have anger issues.
Yeah.
You're not perfect.
Not
So it's
everyone's
the same thing
perfect.
with everyone. Don't strive to be this perfect being, because
It's
you're
it's
never going
and
to
it's
be that.
not what is perfect. Again, comes back the question, like, the way you spoke about being cool, right? You set your own what bar for what perfect is. Don't look at people on Instagram, especially, and like think it's perfect, because we don't post our negative sides on Instagram. We always post the pictures with the perfect hair and the perfect smile, which is perfect for you, but for
Why do
some,
you think I'm wearing this beanie? I tried to cut my hair and it turned out awful.
I would dare you to take that off now, but I cannot do that to you either. So I'm just gonna, maybe if we ever do another live
I look like a
session.
mushroom.
Mushrooms are cool. They're like a
I
cool
just let me tell you, I have so much more respect for barbers.
for barbers.
Yeah. Oh my
I think
god! I
everyone.
tried
I
putting a
think
fade,
that's
and
something.
then I just like my fade is just like a full shave.
Oh God. Anyway, so let's just take a look at some. I think there were a couple of questions that came in. Just gonna go
Yeah,
all the
at the
way
very
up.
beginning there was like a question I saw.
It's really pathetic to hear the stories you share, and also more pathetic to see things happening. I think that's related to some things I've been sharing over the week, which has been pretty trivial, and that's a whole different other conversation.
Yeah, I'm just until you find a question, I'll just say what I saw over the
Yes,
week
please.
about the black man who was shot in America. Did you see that?
Yep, it was. Yeah, people have been sharing the video of it, and I have a couple of African American friends who keep stressing, don't watch the video because the more you also watch the video, you're also kind of normalizing it and making it become like a viral thing for like all the wrong purposes. So it's a very
That's why I didn't share the video.
yeah, it's just really
Yeah.
it's so sad that there are people who have to be defined by their skin color, and just that there's always a target on their back because of their skin color. I know in Sri Lanka it's a bit different skin color. It's a whole other story, but I think it's more of the minorities and the races who have like
Whatever, yeah, that's why I always stress like whatever it is, like focus on something that you want to change that's very personal to you. Like I see one of my friends, Devni, that I'm so glad there's getting more opportunity to speak now. Like she speaks a lot about like skin tone and colorism and all of those things which are very important. But anyway, yeah, questions.
yeah. Yeah, those are really important topics. How can you help a friend who is depressed after breaking up? And another question is how to battle
Um,
your emotions after a breakup. So that kind of goes hand in hand.
Great question. I'll tell you how I dealt with it. And a disclaimer, this may not work for everyone, and you need to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, and speaking to someone who will more likely understand you might help you, but this is what I did. I temporarily distracted myself. I did all the things that I wanted to do. I went and traveled around Melbourne a little bit. I went skydiving. I went ziplining. I got my diving license. I did all the things that I temporarily wanted to do to distract myself, because this is why. Distraction is not always a good thing, but this is why. I was not in a mentally strong position to deal with these emotions. I was not in a position to deal with this breakup that had happened, because it was like a 2+ year relationship, and it really, really broke me. And I was in a very fragile, insecure mindset. So I really needed to get stronger mentally and emotionally so that I could handle these feelings and accept these feelings and work towards healing and moving on. So I temporarily distracted myself. I got stronger. I started reminding myself about the good things in life. I started dating, just like seeing people around, nothing serious. And then like my confidence started to increase a lot more. And just like it added on layers that I didn't have before, positive layers. And then after the temporary distractions, it came to a point where, okay, then I could sit down and self-reflect and make myself self-aware, because I made mistakes in that relationship as well. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
So like I really sat with those thoughts and be like, okay, this is what I did wrong, but this is what she did wrong. This is what I did right. This is what she did right. This is why we didn't work out together. Blah 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 blah. But I needed to be in a mentally and emotionally stronger position to take up those things. You're not in a rat race to fight with those emotions. Be with your friends, be with your family, go travel around Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the most beautiful place to travel. If you're in Sri Lanka, whoever asked this question. And like just temporarily distract yourself and remind yourself about the good things in life. And when you're in a stronger place to handle it, sit down with those thoughts, really acknowledge them. Don't just point fingers. Point fingers at yourself, like point fingers at other people. Point fingers at yourself as well. See where you were weakest, but also see where the relationship wasn't working out, and like that will give you more clarity and closure to move on. Because the more you're reminding yourself of only the good, or the more you're reminding yourself of how she or he messed up or made all the mistakes, the more resentment you're going to carry, and that you don't need that weight in your life. You really don't. You need more closure and you need more clarity to just move on from the situation. And that means acknowledging the holistic way, be very honest about your thoughts, and then move on.
And I think everything you said applies to not just an intimate partner relationship. I think it applies to any sort of relationship, right? Like I know a lot of people who lose their friends, like you said at one point in your life, you lost your friends, and that can be the hardest thing someone goes through. It can even be like you losing a pet. That was something I went through, and that was extremely hard for me. So
Oh
everyone
my
has
God.
it can be like so many different things, and I think that you just have to get closure. Closure is the most important thing, and closure can come
Absolutely.
in any way.
I completely agree. Like losing Leo, one of my first dog, was like the most emotionally draining thing ever because I had to make the decision to put him down.
Yeah.
My mom was not strong enough to do it, and I had to make the decision to do it, and I'm the one who buried him as well.
Oh.
And like that moment for me was so difficult because like my mom was crying and I couldn't because I had to be strong for her.
Yeah.
And then I remember this like it was yesterday because oh my god, I was driving back to work, so like I took my lunch break to come and bury my dog, which sounds freaking insane. And it was raining, it was pouring, Sri Lankan freaking monsoon rain. And then I parked my car outside of office and I started crying. I just bursted out crying. I was just like so emotional and just like bursted out crying. And I had to go through that to sit with my thoughts afterwards. I spoke to some friends and like really acknowledged like that it was the right thing to do. I just felt like it was like a God complex kind of thing where like who gives me the right to take someone else's life kind of thing. But in that moment, like I had to be reminded, but I had to go through that roller coaster of emotions to get to that point where I was just like, okay, I did the right thing. Like Leo was suffering, his kidney had failed, so like there was nothing we could do. So yeah, I completely agree. Like it can be any relationship,
Yeah.
it can be any relationship.
That's pretty hard hearing that because it was kind of the same emotion that I went through as well. And it's like,
Sorry if I
no,
brought up
that's
anything.
like it's been a couple of years and like it's really hard, when you start thinking about those things again. We
Yeah.
don't have any other questions. Just some really great comments about all these fans who are possibly in love with you in a good
But
way.
I just wanna say, like, Sanjana, thank you so much for like highlighting issues like this. Like, if anyone wants to go, show her some support, show her some love, give her a follow, because I believe that all of these things that she's talking about is very important topics, and
Thank
we
you.
need more people normalizing the situation. So,
And I'm really
Sanjana, you know
happy.
that you can always. I found a picture of Leo. I was scrolling to find, show you. That's Leo.
Oh, he's so adorable. He looks so happy in that.
He used to always mess up my Christmas lights. Yeah. So.
I
Um,
it's just yeah. Anyway.
No, but like Sanjana, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Like you've opened up a page dedicated to talk about things that nobody would talk about, which is awesome. So like keep doing what you're doing. And I
Thank you.
just want to tell you like these things can get quite heavy. So like just know to take breaks for yourself as well.
Yeah, I took a social media detox for the first time in my life, I think 3 weeks ago, and it was I didn't even
Oh,
expect I
how
could get
beautiful
through
was it?
it. It was amazing, like getting like just not, and it was like hardcore into the COVID pandemic, so that was like all the news coming out about it, and I took that break, and it was so good. It was just like relieving to not see so much negativity online, and I think that's something I need to do for my own self care, and that really worked for me. And but I was also, I
Absolutely.
need to tell you that I was also secretly really excited to come back online because I knew that I needed to see some faces because you don't get to see them physically here anymore. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that was a good thing that I
I
did
think
for
we
my.
got another question too. Shall I read it out?
Yeah.
Being someone that struggles to recognize my emotions, especially when good things happen, and dealing with anxiety and overthinking, how would you deal with spiraling thoughts constructively? Oof, heavy question. I would really say if you see the good in things, that's progress in itself. Um, you need to figure out where your anxiousness and your overthinking is coming from, because the biggest thing that people don't do is they don't figure out where the root cause of their anxiousness or their overthinking or anything is coming from. Like even my friend messaged me the other day and she was just like, I'm super like overwhelmed, I'm overthinking all the time, it's making me anxious. And I was just like, where is it coming from? She's like, I don't know. I was like, okay, let's dig deep, let's figure out like where it's coming from, because like temporary happiness is good, but temporary happiness will always be overcome by anxiousness, panic attacks, depression, all of those things. Those will always take weight because we as a species, we always choose to see the bad in things first before the good in things.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult for us to make it a habit to see the good in things all the time, because it can get quite heavy.
Yeah.
So I would really say like figure out where your anxiousness and your overthinking, what the root cause is and where it's coming from. Because temporary happiness is good. Like I said, distractions are good, but the thing is, for you to be happy in a long term, it's always good to like identify where the root cause is so that you can tackle it and you can have more longing happiness and more concrete happiness, if that makes sense. For me, my happiness right now is singing with my friend on Zoom, and that's like concrete for me.
That's great.
Can you talk about? I know that we don't have a lot of time, but so that we don't miss these questions.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my God, Sharon, you did not say anything. Can you talk about anxiety? How do you control it? Is there a way to get out of it? I think, dude, like anxiousness is like, I feel like it's like over interpreted sometimes. You know, anxiousness can be as small as being anxious for an interview. You know, like you're nervous.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just making you feel like, oh my God, you know, this is making me feel overwhelmed. And so, like, the thing is for me, anxiousness, to overcome it is like, again, I would say again, like, figure out where it's coming from. If it's coming from something you truly can't control, is it worth your energy? Right? Like, it's all about energy levels, you know, like, I always recall Pokemon when it comes to this. Like, where do you want to give your rare candies? Do you want to give your rare candies to Pikachu, or do you want to give your rare candies to Charmander? I don't know, everyone is probably confused as hell at this point, but what I'm saying is, do you want to focus your energy on things that you can't control, or do you want to focus your energy on things that you can control? If you have an interview tomorrow, and if you've done everything possible to ace that interview, let it go. You can't do anything about it until you walk into the room and start talking. Let it go. If it's something to do with your best friends, sisters, brothers, mothers relationship, you advise them, you've done what you can, but they are not following it.
Yeah.
That's not your fault. You can't control that situation. I truly believe that the only two things you can control are your body and your mind. Everything else is up for debate. You cannot truly control every single other thing that happens. You know, like anything can happen in your life to like throw a curveball at you. So like if you're feeling anxious, figure out where it's coming from so that you can tackle it better and identify like, is it really affecting your body and your mind? If it's not, is it really worth your energy?
That's so true. That's so true. I think there's one more question if you want to take that.
Sharon, how can you, oh my God, I'm like a relationship counselor. Sharon, how can you move on from a great relationship with anyone? Oh, I'm so happy you had a great relationship, firstly. But if it was mutual, then you guys came to an impasse.
That's
and
from
that's
my
okay.
best friend, and she's happily married. I think she's asking on behalf of someone else. But yeah, please keep going.
I think how great relationships end, or like even relationships in general, is that you're at an impasse. Like you can't, Stefan, bro, my trimmer broke. And then I only had a blade. I broke my trimmer trying to trim my head. And then I realized that I'm an idiot. Anyway, so I would say like you are normally at an impasse if you are in a relationship that broke away mutually. And if it's mutual, it's an easier thing to get past, you know. But if you're still struggling to get past it, and if you're still having feelings for the other person, acknowledge that, okay, is it something we can revisit? Why did we break up? Is it distance? Is it that you just don't agree on a few things that you need to agree upon for this relationship to foster and to grow? You know, so like those are things that you need to acknowledge as well. Again, not a relationship counselor. I haven't had a mutual breakup. I've had 2 bad breakups, so not the best person to ask. But I would say, like, if it was mutual, like, just try to figure out where you had an impasse. Like, that's what I would do if it was a mutual breakup. Like, if I was having struggle moving on, what's holding me to it? Like, yes, great person, but like, what caused the breakup? Where did we have an impasse? Like, was it that someone didn't want to have kids and I wanted to have kids? Or like, was it a religion, or was it distance? Like, you got to figure it out. And if you think that it wasn't worth your energy, and if it's not something that you can work on, then it's better if you just move on. There's 7.7 billion people in the world. You will definitely find someone else.
There has to be someone born for someone, or you can just live happily ever after by yourself, loving yourself. That's also something we should definitely.
I'm telling you, being single is like the best thing.
No, but I think that also is a lot of pressure to like, you have to find a partner. And I think that's so wrong, because some people are just really happy being single their entire lives. And it's not wrong to have a lot of cats in your, personally, I don't like cats, but if people want to have cats, go for it. Have as many dogs, adopt a lot of dogs, have them, and like, you know, be happy in your own space. I think that's just really important. That's something you need to acknowledge as well. So yeah,
absolutely. Like, first learn how to love yourself. I think people jump into I know one of my bestest friends, freaking idiot and a half, but I love him to death. he jumps from relation to relationship because he's scared to be on his own. He's since like 14 years old, he's always been in a relationship. So he's
Wow.
never been on. So like he's like 27 now. I want to hit him sometimes. But he just sit in one place and just wait, but he can't, like so like just love yourself. Like
Yeah,
you are the best person and that you can possibly have in your life.
that's true. I think we're also gonna get cut off soon. So if this is cool with you, I'd like to end this. And this has been so great. I loved having this conversation with you. I think everyone
I love it too. Thank you
watching,
so much.
thank you for being on this. And I think everyone who's watched it also did great, has learned a lot. I hopefully everyone does take this message across, spread it to everyone you know, and just be nice to people, be kind, like how Sharon says.
Absolutely. Sanjana, thank you so much though. Like thank you for taking an hour of your day to talk to me. You could have spent it doing absolutely anything else and you chose to speak to me. So
Absolutely
thank you.
nothing, but yes, I'm always happy to do this with you. Like it's been really great, and I'm really glad we did this. So yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you. So I'm just gonna bye.
Bye.
Take care and stay safe. Okay.
You too.
That was really a really good conversation. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Check out my page, give a follow, and check out Sharon's page. He spreads so much positivity, and that's the kind of things that we need in the world today. So, thank you for watching, guys. Stay safe and take care.